I'm Sharon Scott Wilson, RRP, publisher of and co-owner of Resort Trades Media Group, and we are the only multi-platform media focused exclusively on keeping vacation ownership professionals current. If you haven't already, please subscribe for free to either our print magazine and or our weekly email at resorttrades.com/subscribe. Keeps you informed and it keeps us encouraged. So today I'm delighted to welcome someone very well known throughout the timeshare and vacation ownership industry, Bob Kobek. And Bob has been a thought leader, and I don't often use the term thought leader. It's so cliched these days, but he's a true thought leader. So I can't avoid it. But he's well known throughout the resort industry. And many of you know him through his work in customer engagement, feedback strategies, executive leadership. But today, we're stepping back to talk about something even bigger purpose. So, Bob, I'm going to let you start us off by introducing yourself and bring us up to date on what you're doing.
Well, hi Sharon. How are you?
Oh, doing well. How are
Good.
you?
Listen, thank you for this. This is something that is very important to us. In fact, on our website, we have a full page dedicated to the charities of choice for our clients. So, for instance, Breckenridge has that wonderful Breckenridge Cares, um, like Exploria is Crystal House is their charity of choice. So a lot of people know who those charities are, but it's really not shared very often. And we have a passion, as Georgie, our dear friend, always was fond of saying, is that philanthropy is in our DNA.
Yeah.
It is in Mobius's DNA. We have our charity of choice, which is the Children's Theraplay. And in our particular case, if it's a charity that is deserving and we find out if they are, we actually will contribute our survey platform to them. So if they want to survey their donors or do a post-survey event, we're happy to do that because we believe there is a higher purpose. If you're a publicly traded company, you've got to worry about EBITDA. But if you notice in those publicly traded companies, every one of them have a charity of choice. Hilton just raised, I think it was $100,000 for their charity of choice. The Crystal House golf tournament raises a lot of money every year for charities, usually supported by those publicly traded brands. And it's a very critical part of our business. So, I mean, the government doesn't fund everything. And so it falls
Right.
on us. And it's
Well,
not always just money, it's also time and energy.
yeah, I'm also a big fan of doing that too. We do a number of PSAs, that's public service announcements in resort trades. And we use Crystal House, Send Me on Vacation, and also Victoria's Voice. But we're always interested in others. So,
Victoria's Choice is one of those very interesting charities that David Siegel started many years ago when his daughter was a victim of opioid overdose, and it's one of those things. It's not really visible inside our industry, but it should be. And I mean, we are supporters of it. We're supporters of so many different charities that we don't we don't advertise it. We don't. I mean, to us, it's about being conscious. In fact, we're members and on the board of directors of a international organization called Conscious Capitalism. And
oh,
it's an organization that was started by the guy that was the first CEO
Whole
of the
Foods.
Whole Foods. Yeah. And in fact, because I was getting on this call or on this thing, I just started rereading this Conscious Capitalism, this book he wrote
I
years ago.
almost ordered or bought that book online. I'm going to
Yeah,
get the audio book.
it's a good read. I mean, it's a long read, and it's unfortunately Helvetica 10. So
Oh,
it's but
well, in audiobook, I'll bet it isn't.
you'll get it just fine. Well, and you travel a lot, so I'm sure that that's going to work out great for you.
Yeah.
So, and ARDA is also, they have an initiative going on right now too called ARDA Cares, where they're asking ARDA members to feature their charities of choice. And they're pushing that out through LinkedIn and Facebook.
So, well, and let's talk a little about how the purpose or bringing purpose into your business impacts leadership decisions as well as how it affects employee engagement and retention.
Well, when you show that you have a conscience and it permeates into the culture of your organization, people will look at least I hope they look at me as somebody that, Bob's a good business guy. We could debate that. Um,
I
Bob is
don't.
very smart. We can certainly debate that. I always land on the side of, yeah, I'm smart, and thank you for recognizing me as a thought leader. I try to be a thoughtful thought leader. Instead of somebody that just creates for the sake of creating. But it also though enhances the culture. And anybody that works here, even contractors, we will support their charity of choice. If they have a charity that's having a golf tournament, we'll sponsor a hole. It's not something that, and we don't do it to gain business. We don't do it to get new money. We do it to extend our culture and our culture of being givers and conscious capitalists, which by the way is an important element. We are capitalists. We do believe that making a profit is very critical, but that doesn't mean you can't do it for good.
Right. Well, and I forgot to mention Send Me on Vacation, which is an important charity of choice with us. They don't get a lot of marketing effort out there, but what they do is send breast cancer survivors on vacation, and they do that by trading out uh, or donations, I should say, not trading out, donations from resort companies. So I think that's pretty awesome.
See, that is a really wonderful example of conscious capitalists. That's Kathy and Jean Backus. And they contribute all of their effort, their time, and whatever money they need to that organization, much like Chris Gunn Hedstrom does in
Oh,
with her animal rescue farm in
oh yeah.
down around Sarasota. These are people that do it because they're doing it for good, and they're in business and they know that business can support the good. It's positive energy. Call it karma. I'm old enough to know that karma is really, really real. And so I like to live for the fact that I want to pay it forward so karma doesn't come back to bite me in the
Well, don't we all?
Should.
Yeah. So, what makes us think that vacation ownership industry is uniquely positioned to be purpose driven? I have my own theory, but I want to hear from you.
Well, they first of all, they tend to be givers. If you look at the communities where resorts are located, they're usually in some pretty far out remote locations, oftentimes very, very beautiful locations, but smaller cities. And so they understand that they need to support that city and that location where they are, and support it in any way they possibly can. So they will, a lot of times, resorts independently from the brand or from the mother company, even the independent resorts will have a dinner, have a golf tournament, have a whatever, because they employ people, they live in that city, they work in that town. And so the timeshare industry tends to be local, which is really excellent. And then you get to the brands, like I said, Hilton, Marriott, those guys, Travel and Leisure. They have some really great events that they put on and raise a lot of money. And I
Oh,
remember, one time the Crystal House, when we were very, very involved with their golf tournament. And one time the Crystal House had a golf tournament that started at 8 a.m. local in 22 different countries on 5 continents. So the first ball got teed off in South Africa, and the last ball got teed off at 8 a.m. in Australia.
Wow.
You know, and so it crossed the timeline.
Yeah.
Well,
It went from what,
they
yesterday to
raised
tomorrow or something, or
yeah, yeah. You know, it teed off at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Well, 8 o'clock Wednesday in South Africa is different than 8 o'clock on Wednesday in Australia. And so at one time they raised $1 million net.
wow.
And if you know the Crystal House, 100% of all contributions is contributed to the charity.
That's right.
And so the
Yeah.
infrastructure is paid for by Crystal Dahan, by the foundation in perpetuity.
Yeah. I think that's why we love to support it, and uh, we'll continue to do so, and put in some information about RCI into the magazine because they're big supporters too. So
It's their charity of choice.
yeah, we really
Tell me
appreciate it.
what is your position on why timeshare is with a purpose?
Oh, I think because the people now, going back to my background, I used to work in Washington, D.C. in trade, a couple of trade associations before joining ARDA, where I became membership director. And I was amazed at how unique and open and uh, just people oriented the people in the industry were, and it strikes me that just because in their hearts, I think they have a more outgoing, charitable disposition. So I'm not surprised that timeshare and vacation ownership companies and individuals are more focused on giving. I think it's a natural step.
And interesting that in the business we're in, the feedback comment card is what it's referred to as in timeshare. The hospitality industry was the first adopters of that. I mean, the
Yes.
hotels and the resorts, they were the very first adopters of we need to get feedback. We need to find out where's our loyalty, where can we be better? Where can we do better? And a natural byproduct of that is, be hospitable. Be just, can you just be nice? Because that's the foundation of putting feet in the beds.
Yep.
Be nice.
Engagement and uh,
Yeah.
good customer service, direct customer service. That's something about, we watch a lot of YouTube videos about health and other uh, political issues, etc. But when you watch an AI generated video, there's a real non-person disconnect there. So that's kind of off the topic, but
Well, but not really because AI. I mean, I'm in fact I'm moderating a webinar this afternoon on consequences of AI. And some of the consequences of AI, to your point, is that it does remove the human aspect. I mean, it's designed to do that. And there are places where that is actually very good. But then you have places where it's not so good, like healthcare, or
yeah,
there are places where AI can really steer you wrong. But really, the first thing it does is it removes the human connection, and that human connection is something that, good Lord, from a giving standpoint and from a caring standpoint and a conscious standpoint, we can't lose that connection. We have to have that connection. That's why, I mean,
yeah,
I meditate every day for 20 minutes. I shut everything down and meditate and get back inside myself so that I can make certain that I'm staying as grounded as I can possibly stay.
yeah.
I'm an emotional person, so
I
I
know
kind of
that.
have to, I kind of have to do that.
I know you got mad at me once.
I
So,
did not.
oh, well, maybe you were kind about it. But I did under the surface, I felt like we were kind of disappointed in something I might have said or did. I can't remember
Lord, you
details.
and I have a long enough relationship that I hope you got mad at me about something once or twice. I mean, that's the beauty about long-term relationships.
That's
I
so
remember you
true.
and I walked when we first met. We were walking around Washington, D.C., talking about how we both lived in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I kind of miss it, really. But
I was just there.
yeah, I remember
Just
you saying that.
I was
So
just there over the weekend.
yeah, such a cool place. Well, probably it's literally cool right now.
All right, you know what? We were there in one of those rare, beautiful weekends, February
Oh,
weekends. So we got
oh,
lucky.
delightful.
It was kind of warm and a little bit sunny, and you know we went and as much time as I spent living in Washington D.C., I never spent time being a tourist. And so the last 3 or 4 times we were there, Lisa and I were just being tourists and went to museums and I saw things I never saw in the 8 years that I lived there.
I've
I
never
never
taken
went to
the
the
hop
National.
on, hop off bus
I
there.
didn't do
I've
that.
taken it
No.
in Nashville because I live near Nashville
Yeah.
and I thoroughly recommend it. But I ought to try it. Um, uh, Getting on to back to our topic a little bit, what are some practical steps that leaders can take to embed purpose in their company culture?
I would start by encouraging people to take a look at conscious capitalism and that organization because it's a good guidebook. I was on a panel the other last week, and one of the things that we talked about is conscious capitalism panel. And one of the things, the topic was how do you manage having a conscious in this polycrises world? You know, every day we're going through, you know, if you watch the news, which I have it on right now, I mean, you don't know what is going to come out of the White House. You don't know what's going to come out of Congress. You don't know what's going to come out of, and then, you know, with a technology company, you don't know what technology is. Something going to get a little wonky here, a little wonky there, and so there is some sort of a crisis, measurable crisis every day, at least one.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you maintain a level of giving and a level of caring and a level of consciousness when you're going through those poly crises? Well, I meditate. I think about the things that I can do that have purpose, the things that we can do as human beings to give, pay forward, and give it back. We're all beneficiaries of a gift at some point in our lives, at least one. You know, I'm a beneficiary of gift every morning when my feet touch the floor.
That's
And
true.
so you have to keep reminding yourself of those things that there's more good than evil. And you have to live that and live to that.
Yeah. And I think it's you have to have some faith basis in a higher power, if you will, to believe that good will win out over evil, uh, which I thoroughly believe. And
Should.
I also think I look at the companies that produce press releases about their uh, giving events. Those are great. Particularly the publicly traded companies, always send a press release on their charitable affairs, but also locally, like you said. Uh, I think the companies I see around Crossville, Tennessee, where we're based, those that have some sort of uh, uh, charity of choice, if you will, that they actually participate in, that they seem to be more successful. Their employees seem happier.
It's a culture thing. Geez, I will keep bringing up Breckenridge because that is one of to me, that's a model of givers. When I first met Breckenridge, the very first phone call that I got from Breckenridge, we put out an email to all of our connections about a hurricane that ripped through parts of Canada and took out a lot of the houses and the homes and even parts of resorts from a company then called Raintree.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
we put that out and said, they need some help. They're looking for contributions. So can you help them out? And lo and behold, I got a phone call from Breckenridge, their competitor, saying, who do we talk to and how can we help? And that, to me, that's like, okay, that's a culture. And that's a beautiful culture. And that is a very successful company, I'm sure, in part because of that culture, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that, it gave me, more faith in not just our industry, but in people.
Oh, well
People
said.
can be jerks. I mean, there's no question about it. I can be a jerk. I know that, but,
Oh,
but
pshaw.
only when you push the wrong button. But I have four brothers and an Italian mother, so I come by it honestly.
Okay. Well, perhaps you know Jim Madrid. I
Very well.
interviewed him recently. I just love him to death. He
Yeah,
wrote
very
this
well.
book, Meatballs and Mindset plus Mindset. Well, I guess it's ampersand mindset. And it's about how he overcame, or rather, he is surviving through having had stage 4 cancer.
Mhm.
And through positive mindset and the encouragement, of course, of his family and friends, and uh, that's the association with meatballs is back to when the family would gather for a big Italian meal. So I bet you had the same sort of Italian meals in your household too.
Well, we did, and Jim and I am very fortunate in that I have discussions with people with cancer pretty regularly because
Oh,
I am a survivor.
oh, I
And
didn't know that.
Jim is one of those people that he and I spent a lot of time talking about cancer when he was going through it, and I had just finished going through it. My protocol was 7 years, and I have a lot of conversations on a pretty regular basis with people that have cancer. I'll just get a cold call that so and so said to call you. You had some insights to give, and the first thing I try to do is I try to start telling them jokes, because humor is one of the best,
I know that
absolute.
that music.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you're starting to laugh about your malady. I mean, there's a lot of energy to that. And then, asking for prayers. It took me a while to be able to be public about the fact that I had cancer, but after 7 years, you get tired of hiding it and you just come out and say, I have cancer and here's what I'm doing about it. And you can hit it positively, or you can just get really morose and crawl into a hole. But you know what? That's also one of those things that I'm very flattered that I can share. And Jim and I had a lot of conversations about it.
Well, he's a dear person, as are you. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
You're,
Uh,
you know, you're, you're not so bad yourself, man.
oh, pshaw again.
Shut
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your insights and challenging us to think beyond just the everyday, run-of-the-mill business. How we can use purpose in our business as our professional lives as well as personal. And
Sharon, I
we,
appreciate that. And you know
oh,
what? If you take that out of the back of your brain and put it into the front of your brain, it will change the way you think every day.
so much. I meant to ask if you wanted to share the Arta Cares uh,
Sure,
screenshot.
sure. This is on Facebook. See here,
And they were also on LinkedIn, I believe.
and LinkedIn. Yeah,
Yes, a nice site.
yeah, yeah. This is very nice of them. Um, I know that Arta is very proud of this, and
Oh,
and they have. I don't know if I could get into it or not. From here. No. But if you go in there, it lists all the charities that they have of choice, all the clients and their charities.
and how, well, I'm sure it would explain how a charitable organization can become part of it. Um, I don't know if you have any
Well,
tips.
yeah, you can contact Dave Axel at ARDA and let Dave know that you have a charity of choice, and they will publish it. I'll put it. It's a website now, so it's public. So David
Great.
Axel at ARDA was the guy that is their senior VP of, I think, marketing.
Communications or something, but I have not yet met David in person, but I did interview him when he first was appointed. So, very impressive background he has too.
Yeah,
So,
it does. Yeah, he does.
yeah. Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to just say to our viewers, please, what are your thoughts? We'd love to have feedback. This guy in particular is the king of feedback, so I know he would welcome it. Um, Bob, do you want to give your contact uh, information at this point, or what? I know you have a podcast too. Uh, would you like to share that now?
Yeah, mine is called Bobcast, and it's on YouTube like yours. So I would encourage anybody that does see this to, while you're doing subscribing, subscribe to the Resort Trades YouTube channel also,
Thank you.
and and the Bobcast channel. Bob Kobek at mobiusvp.com. You can see the Mobius up in the, where is it? Over here, right there. Mobiusvp.com is the website. And mobiusvp.com is the website that if you scroll in there, you'll see our sharing is caring is what we call our component in our website. And you can learn a little bit about what Mobius does. We're actually a 27-year-old business process consulting firm. So we're that firm that will go into a company, and if it ain't broke, we break it and then fix it. And out of that came Customer Count, that wonderful survey program. So we probably deploy 10 to 12 million survey invitations a year, mostly in the hospitality industry, mostly in the
I
timeshare industry.
might I might add that Resort Trades was a beneficiary of one of your surveys, and I was so impressed with the way Customer Count gathered our information, kind of drilled down to what we really wanted to find out, and helped us craft the survey. And of course, you had that ultimate data that resulted from it, which was phenomenal, really. Ooh,
Well, surveying is part art, part science. And because we're consultants, Sharon, that's what gives us the 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 finer level of expertise that we have to help build a right survey, a proper survey. And let me also point out, though, that you were the beneficiary of that survey because you made a contribution to a charity.
there you go.
If you remember, you
Oh,
contributed
I remember.
you contributed to a charity, and that was a beneficiary. That was your benefit.
Well, thank you very much, Bob, because thank you both for having participated in a charitable event like that and all the stuff that you're doing now. And thanks for spending time with me and your patience with my uh, uh, inability to access my usual webinar platform. But I think
Uh,
we'll do
you,
just fine.
you've heard it said, I know we all have, that patience is a virtue, unless you're a business owner and it's not a virtue. It's it's hell.
Yes,
But
it doesn't come
you,
naturally, that's for sure.
yeah, it does. It does not. And so, but yeah, you always pull it off. So I was not concerned of one bit. I promise you.
Well, thank you very much.
It didn't even
Well,
require patience.
thank you. All right. Well, then, until next time, I'm Sharon Scott Wilson.
You know what this
Uh,
means?
Bob, who?
You know what that means?
Peace?
Sign language for I love you.
Oh, I better learn that.
That's a good
Uh,
one. Listen,
yeah, that's a good
Lisa and I could be a block away from each other, and we see that.
one. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks for watching.
Thank you, Sharon.